l'équipe d'Italie et l'équipe d'Angleterre qui se rencontrent ce soir dans le cadre du deuxième match du Tournoi de France 1997. Mesdames, Messieurs, les hymnes nationaux.
Forgotten February, but they're all now very optimistic about October as English eyes are set on Italy again tonight. The points at stake not so vital, but pointers there may be in what is being seen as a battle of wits, though not perhaps by Italy. Remarkably, 10 of the side which won at Wembley. It would have been all 11, but Paolo Maldini had to tell his father this morning that he wasn't yet fully fit, so Antonio Benarivo fills that gap. Cesare Maldini, 6th match in charge of Italy, and they've not yet conceded a goal since he took over control from Arrigo Sacchi.
Well, as we saw at Wembley, Italy were playing a 4-4-2 formation. Zola playing just in behind Casaraghi. On the left-hand side, I think Di Matteo will play there majority of the time, but they don't have a natural left-hand-sided player amongst the four. He will rotate Di Matteo with Baggio. Albertini playing always in the centre of midfield.
Glenn Hoddle didn't make up his mind until after a morning of the match, a training session of more than usual significance. Tim Flowers becomes the 5th goalkeeper used this year, one of 5 changes from Katowice. Martin Keown, Phil Neville, Paul Scholes and Ian Wright all in. For Gary Neville, Paul Gascoigne and Alan Shearer, they're all available tonight amongst the England substitutes. Just one casualty left from Katowice, Rob Lee, and a badly bruised toe.
Yes, England continue to play with the wing-backs. We expect Beckham and Ince to be the 2 natural central midfield players. At Wembley, there was McManaman and Letizia playing in behind Alan Shearer. Tonight, we expect Sheringham and Scholes to play that role, with Ian Wright being the sole front-runner.
Italy don't even name Paolo Maldini amongst their substitutes. They brought out Attilio Lombardo, who were just about to go off on holiday, into the squad at the 11th hour, so he's amongst those Italian names. Any 3 can be used, and as you can see, Rob Lee even is named by England. There's very little chance of him playing. Better news of Gascoigne, who really has made a very quick recovery from the early injury in Poland. So it's a proud night for Paul Ince, captaining England for the 4th time, but especially this one will stick in the memory against the Italians that he plays against, or the majority of them, week in, week out for Inter. Well, the city of Nantes in the west of France, they're close to the Atlantic coast here. La Beaujoire Stadium, built for the European Championship finals of 1984, which was won by France. The local fans saw Nantes lose a Champions League place on the final day of the French season, pipped by Paris Saint-Germain as runners-up to Glenn Hoddle's old club, Monaco. It's by no means a sellout here. Indeed, there was a special broadcast in English put out on the local radio station to encourage and to help English people in the area to come along. I was speaking to some of them a couple of hours ago, holiday makers, who weren't even sure that this fixture was taking place. The news has spread. Around 1,000 England fans here. The referee is from Austria. Benko, pitch in good condition. That's a contrast to Katowice. Ian Wright, beaten to it by Albertini. So a very familiar Italy side, Trevor, to English viewers, British viewers, and with England making the expected changes, with Glenn Hoddle wanting to keep one or two things up his sleeve on what happens in Rome in October.
Yes, and even the replacement, Benarivo, is obviously familiar with English viewers, played many times for Parma, can play either left or right, although I think it's fair to say he does prefer to kick with his right foot.
Here he is on the left, wearing number 15. Phil Neville. Beckham. Ian Wright very much the main man through the centre, supported by Scholes. Phil Neville carried on the run well. There was a deflection on the cross, made it a little bit awkward for Italy to defend. Cannavaro sit behind for the first corner of the game.
It's an excellent play actually there from England, involving the 3 United players, Beckham, Neville and Scholes. Unfortunately, there was nobody in the box to attack the ball in from Neville.
Beckham takes it. And, the referee spotting some pushing in there, Ince and Sheringham coming in. But understandably, the right kind of swagger about the England party when they arrived in France on Monday, brimming with self-belief. It was a terrific result in Poland. One would have taken that, but it was also an exceptional performance as well, which is even more heartening and even more worrying to the Italians, who probably didn't expect either the result or the performance from England. Albertini saying, "Who, me?" Well, it was him. Scholes. Gareth Southgate, who's really got a chance to develop as the central of Glenn Hoddle's 3. Certainly showed a greater range in his passing in Poland. And Graham Lasso on the England left was a particular beneficiary. Forward by Benarivo. Keown is there, then Beckham. And Benarivo forcing his way past Scholes. Costa Curta has taken on the captain's armband for Italy in place of Paolo Maldini. He's got a thigh strain that's been worrying him. He was close to being fit, but didn't want to take the risk. Baggio's cross. Beckham, and then man very much in the news over the past 24 hours or so, Teddy Sheringham, seeking that transfer from Spurs. Keown having problems with Zola. That's beautifully laid off by Ian Wright, who of course had an exceptional match against South Africa. Controversy about his winning goal, the handball element in it, but it certainly gave the match the right result. It deserved the win, and Ian Wright deserved the man of the match award.
Slightly unlucky there, he peeled off in behind Ferrara, just went offside. What was interesting though, Martin, there was a line of 4 Italian players against Ian Wright. I do feel that Ian needs a little bit more support than that.
Costa Curta. Here's Benarivo. Zola and Di Matteo have been travelling the world with Chelsea since the FA Cup final. There's been no rest for them. Beckham, who I'm sure will revel in the chance to play further away from the right-hand touchline. Costa Curta. Certainly the tournament got off to a sparkling start in Lyon. France and Brazil, and you sensed that right from the beginning yesterday, bursting for a taste of competitive football. Of course, it's very different for England and Italy. Going through the testing times of World Cup qualification, whereas the hosts and the holders have been spared that. So it's a more cautious start here in Nantes tonight, and I don't think that's any great surprise. Well forward, but isolated again, but still able to fasten onto a bit of weak defending by Costa Curta. Trevor, I seem to remember Arsenal playing at times this way, with Ian Wright through the centre and the likes of Bergkamp and Merson supporting from deeper positions, as maybe Scholes and Sheringham are being asked to do today.
Yeah, you just feel at the moment in the opening 5 minutes of the game that Sheringham and Scholes are both pulling for the ball in midfield. We've also got Beckham, Neville, Ince in there. We've got a lot of players won the ball to feet. You need, I think, 1 or 2 more trying to get forward and support Ian Wright and put the Italians under a little bit more pressure.
Well, they got the ball to Zola's feet, and that's been a problem for England. He controlled the ball superbly, passed it with some authority towards Cesare. Here's Piero Ferrara, who last Wednesday was playing in the UEFA Champions League final. The European Cup final to most of us, and of course on the wrong end of the result, no European club trophy from the 3 major competitions for Italian sides this season. It's his Inter, of course, losing in the UEFA Cup final, also to a German side, Schalke. Zola. Benarivo trying to add some support further forward. On the England bench.
Well, there were shouts from the Italians behind the goal for a penalty there, but good strength from Southgate, just held Cesare off. As you would expect, Cesare fell to the floor, with no question of that being a penalty.
As you would expect, a comment noted and played by someone who played in Italy and knows a thing or two about falling to the floor from time to time. I mean, of course, incidents against Trevor Francis, not that I would suggest that he'd been guilty of that. Coming to ground here was Benarivo, and the challenge from Wright. Both teams arrived here on Monday evening. Many of the Italians involved in the last round of the Serie A matches on Sunday. Of course, it's been a long season for England too. Usually, none of this squad played in the cup final, whereas 2 of the Italians did. So there was a bit of a pit stop for Glenn Hoddle's players around the middle of May. Stuart Pearce. Right, showing well. Scholes. By Di Matteo. Scholes gets it back for England. Beckham, the Manchester United involvement again here with Phil Neville, and Beckham's probing pass, and he makes running look so easy, this athletic young man, Philip Neville.
Yes, and he made that ball possible from Beckham with an excellent run. He attacks Benarivo, gets in behind him, little chest control, but it just overruns out of play.
side that wins, if there's an outright result tonight, would go to the top of the Tournoi de France. 1-1 last night between France and Brazil. France coming back very nobly in the second half, and it looked as though they were going to be really put to the sword by the world champions in the opening phase of the game. Much more even the beginning in Nantes tonight. Cesare, who hasn't played for Italy since he was involved at Wembley in February. Di Matteo coming late onto the scene, and I think England would have not liked to have conceded a headed goal to Zola.
Once again, that was excellent play from the Italians. It was all made possible by a good run from Cesare. Looked to go to feet and checked in behind Keown. Good possession, back to Di Matteo. Good little ball into Zola.
Just 2 England wins in the last 10 matches with Italy. 4 defeats and a draw in the last 5. Cesare Maldini has certainly restored the defensive values to Italy. Very hard side to break down. Costa Curta. Di Matteo. That's Albertini's pass, and he really is the playmaker on the centre of the pitch. How different, Trevor, is this to the tactical style that England adopted at Wembley in February?
It's very similar. Recent games we've seen Shearer and Sheringham just in behind, 3 central midfield players. And as I said at the top of the programme, Wembley we had Letitia and McManaman playing very, very loose behind Alan Shearer. On this occasion tonight, it's very, very similar. The 2 men this time is Sheringham and Scholes. I personally would like to see a little bit further forward. You know, the midfield area is really crowded at the moment, and the ball's going forward to right now, and if he does win it, like he has done there, there's absolutely nobody to go for the flick-on. Costa Curta, the sweeper, who just drops off, collects any flick-ons.
So Casiraghi winning the header. Livio trying to knock it back in towards Zola. Awkward for Sheringham. Challenged well by Ferrara. Di Matteo's got a lot of space here. And Stuart Pearce came across with a very important tackle. Di Matteo has stayed down. Tim Flowers saying to his colleagues, get the ball out of play. England were sucked across to one side, and Di Matteo, whose goal-scoring ability in Chelsea's colours has been so impressive in his first season in England, was in the clear.
Well, the 2 Chelsea men really carved England open there. Terrific ball from Zola. I think Di Matteo, when he looks at the game, will wish that he'd hit the ball with his left foot. He had the opportunity of a shooting chance, elected to come inside. Pearce quickly over, gets in a great tackle.
He wanted it on the right foot, didn't he?
Always did. Should have hit it with his left foot.
Cesare Maldini frustrated by really the first clear opening in the game, and Di Matteo needing a bit of attention when you get tackled by Stuart Pearce, like being hit by a bulldozer. It hurts.
Well, just checking knee ligaments there. For his sake that he hasn't damaged them. Nasty tackle though.
Been a fair bit of moaning in the Italian camp about playing in this tournament. So by England, Glenn Hoddle's been emphasising the positive virtues of learning about the conditions, the climate, of course the general culture here in France, with next summer now very much firmly in mind.
When you say moaning, Martin, you mean amongst the players?
No, I think more from Maldini, who inherited the tournament from the previous regime. It's about the time of year that Italian footballers usually expect to go on holiday.
Well, I suppose Saki was playing for everything else, wasn't he? So you can blame him for this.
Cesare. Hoddle looks on with some concern. Piero. Heavy fall, and he's touching that right shoulder. Damage.
The referee's calling for a stretcher. I think he'll be okay. He'll be up soon.
Gary Lewin checking the damage. Incidentally is back on. Will to join him. There's no need for England to take any risks. Again, the sporting etiquette applied.
How sporting that was, because England was certainly in a less favourable position than what they were when Scholes received good possession of the ball. There was only one intent from Cesare, and that was to put the ball deep into the corner flag, and he quickly went and closed the keeper down, stopping England from throwing the ball to Tim Flowers.
Italy now do have a throw. Albertini. Ferrara going to the right-hand side. Cannavaro, though, further forward towards Di Livio. Ferrara has to chase Scholes. He made a very promising beginning to his full international career as a substitute against South Africa at Old Trafford when he was involved in the winning goal for Ian Wright. It is Sheringham looking for Wright with the cross. It's Sheringham again. It's he wasn't to throw it then, Phil Neville, but he could have turned and gone on.
Yes, you're right, he was completely free. He tried a little back flick here, this. Cannavaro gets his foot to it, but he was completely free. If only he'd had the shout of turn. I suppose for a right back, he's not really familiar with getting those positions when you're the last forward. Almost forward, furthest forward.
One defender in familiar position is Martin Keown, who's come up. Treated, but Di Matteo clearly still feeling the problem. Diego Fouzer, who was a substitute against England at Wembley, but much later in the piece, comes on early tonight in Nantes. So it's an England corner. David Beckham to take it. Almost 18 minutes gone. Looking for Sheringham in that area where his speed of thought still catches out opponents who surely look at the videos these days and must realise that England have worked this. Tottenham always work it to Sheringham, and yet it's still definitely a weapon and better connection there, and England might have been one up.
Yeah, the only difference there was instead of Darren Anderton to Teddy Sheringham, it was David Beckham.
Pierce. Glenn Hoddle does have a 100% away record this season. England counter-attacking quickly and accurately, particularly in Georgia and Poland. Tonight, of course, technically a neutral venue. Maybe both nations looking to play on the break. And Wright a bit slow to get back on his feet on the far side. Here's Ince, Beckham. Phil Neville well forward again. It's a beautiful pass from Beckham. Of course, Wright's not made it into the middle, but Scholes got his head to it. England one man light there because their main striker pulled up lame on the far side.
Once again, excellent time run this by Phil Neville. Not an easy ball to cross, but he does well.
White's in trouble. So back on his feet now. Cesare putting his head on the far side. An aerial challenge with Stuart Pearce. White's moving much better now. And into the right sort of area too. Corner. By the pressure applied by Wright on Benarivo.
Benarivo was looking for the free kick, complaining that the foot was raised from right. Possibly was, but it was excellent closing down. Chased the lost cause and winning in a corner.
Sheringham did well to guide it back into a useful area. Here's Graham Lasso. Sheringham was bending his run on the far side and was fairly astonished to see the flag go up here.
I think Ian Wright was just offside, wasn't he?
Di Livio. Losing out to Lasso. Because of Saturday's match and all the importance thereof. Day off on Sunday, a travel day on Monday. And haven't had much opportunity to work together as a group with this particular 11. So only this morning, Glenn Hoddle really finalised his plans. It seems as if the first 20 minutes or so has been a bit of a filling out process by the team. There's one or two signs recently, particularly in the understanding between Beckham and Philip Neville on this right-hand side, that
what's important, Martin, is when you do make a number of changes like England have made, is that you don't change the shape of the side. Players who've come in are familiar with this type of play. England have played it for 12 months now.
Talking earlier about Southgate's switching of the play towards Graham Lasso, but he gave him no chance that time. Cannavaro. Now Ince. Mike took that well on the half turn. So well forward. Sheringham's gone far post. Scholes getting into the box as well. Others will be joining them. And supporters in that corner the stadium here.
It's a good block that from Ferrara. Pity really, because it's the first time that England have got numbers into the penalty box. The cross and the so have been better. We had 4 players in the box.
Another David Beckham corner. Sheringham, good connection too. Just too good. That's a foul.
It's an excellent header from Sheringham. I don't know whether Dino Baggio lost the flight of the ball, but certainly Sheringham out-jumped him.
Ferrara, Fuze. Zola coming initially for the ball to feet. Livio trying to work the line. Halfway through the first half. Second game of Tournoi de France. Cross, straightforward one, as you would expect, dealt with it. Sheringham looking it forward to Beckham. Marivo, who is a great asset, is his speed, got back quickly. Beckham has the attribute of being able to pass the ball great distances, and Ian Wright adjudged to have deliberately run into Ferrara.
I'm not so sure about that. I think he's following the flight of the ball. That wasn't a free kick for me. It was interesting, that Beckham elected not to try and outrun Benarivo. Made the right selection there.
Tione competing well against Cesare. He's a real handful in the air and had a very good Euro 96 in England. Ferrara. Curta, slipping as he played the pass. Maybe that was responsible for the lack of accuracy.
I spoke before the game, Martin, about the Italian midfield four, where they are slightly unbalanced without a recognised left-sided player. That's become even more of a problem now without Di Matteo there, because Fusero, who's come on, does like to play on the right-hand side, as does Di Livio. So you've got both of them actually hugging the right-hand side of the pitch. There's nobody willing to come out on the left-hand side here, where Benaribo's just by himself.
Ferrara. Ferrara won the championship for the fourth time in his career. 2 with Juventus, 2 earlier with Napoli. He's had a tremendous career in Serie A. He's been restored to international favour by Cesare Maldini. Casiraghi, Zola, Dino Baggio, yes, in the way well, Scholes. He really does show not a trace of nerves, and it's his pass that has Ian Wright moving on to it. England have taken the lead. Scholes straight through the centre, right on a run. Peruzzi hesitated, and Ian Wright took the chance gleefully.
Absolutely brilliant. Terrific run from Ian Wright. And a fabulous ball from Scholes. He looked up, saw Ian Wright spinning it behind Ferrara, and the delivery was absolutely perfect. Here he is, looks up, uses pace, gets in behind Ferrara, lets it bounce on his left foot. Great finish.
And the first goal Italy have conceded under Cesare Maldini, and it was a very, very good goal from England's point of view. Well, we know how well Shearer and Sheringham are playing in the World Cup games, but Ian Wright, as he did against South Africa, telling Glenn Hoddle that if you need me, I'm here, I'm in prime condition, 33 it may say on the birth certificate, but he's frisky as a foal. Found international goals hard to come by at stages of his career. Has now scored in successive appearances for England.
That's a goal that Ian Wright would be proud of. The run was absolutely timed to perfection. And the way he delivered the volley, that was also timed to perfection. He struck it very, very sweetly in the corner, gave Peruzzi absolutely no chance. A world-class finish.
Zola. It's a free kick to Italy. Fusero, way beyond Casiraghi's reach. Nice work, neat and economical from Beckham and from Sheringham. Beckham again. Often under Terry Venables and continuing under Glenn Hoddle have really grown to appreciate the value of possession at the highest level of the game. Possession with a purpose as well here. Phil Neville. Sheringham trying to get away from Cannavaro. He's done that. He saw where Beckham was, couldn't quite find him.
We often talk, Martin, about the importance of pace from front runners. I think it's those who don't have pace who play up front will appreciate a goal like that. Those who don't have pace could never have attended that type of run. Wright knows just what his qualities are and what his attributes are. Spins in behind Ferrara, who's an excellent marker. Done it so well over the years for Napoli and in recent years for Juventus. But there's absolutely no answer to that type of run if you time it right. We spoke about the goal last night from Carlos being unstoppable. I think that type of run, timed correctly.
Pass played into the most dangerous area, beyond the last defender. You've got a player who can catch up the way that Ian Wright accelerated. It is unstoppable, and England lead against Italy, and we've talked a lot about psychological advantages here, and of course we'll know the relevance of this match only when it's all over in October in Rome. But England hit a 15-minute spell here, which has produced a goal, and it's produced some problems for the Italian defenders, or two for the referee as well. Navarro being tricked there by Ince. Free kick to England.
Quite clever play that from Ince. I think he realised that the tackle was coming in from Cannavaro, just flicked the ball ahead of him and won the free kick.
And so, across. Still open, wants to use it, which he doesn't.
I think he had a call from the bench to stay where he was.
Beckham again. Right, to knock it down. Scholes trying to return the compliment. Brought away by Di Livio. Well, Paul Scholes starting an England game for the first time, having made a goal for Ian Wright, a substitute at Old Trafford. So followed that with a stunning pass here to Wright again.
This is the type of pass that you tend to associate with his teammate David Beckham. All of 40-50 yards with great accuracy.
It's Beckham. Shorter range this time, but just as effective. Philip Neville! Well, all the zest, all the zip is coming from England at the moment.
Once again, excellent play. Neville not afraid to come forward. No one to pass it to, decides to go alone.
Zola. Hustled out of it by Ince. Playing with greater urgency. Pierce. Now Beckham unchallenged. Scholes passing it like Beckham, Trevor. I just wonder whether we might suggest he's passing it like Cantona. Whose role in the Manchester United team now lies vacant.
That's a strong possibility, isn't it? Put a tall order taken off from Cantona, but I think Scholes has got,
he's
got everything in his game. What's most important is he's a good goal scorer himself.
Just being a bit misplaced there by Neville.
I think when you look back to the goal, Martin, Scholes who's played the ball, but he's a goal scorer himself, so he knows what type of ball he would want if he was in the same position as Wright.
Past Glenn Hoddle would have been found on his mark to play himself. So he did play his ground. His career in the French First Division against Nantes for Monaco. Who's there, but out comes Pierce again. Scholes to Neville. Well, Ricochet favoured England at the Manchester United section tonight's side.
Sheringham was totally unmarked there if Beckham could have found him. He got in between Ferrara and Costa Curta. An alarming gap in the middle of the two Italian defenders. Totally uncharacteristic of the Italians. Would have been rocked by that goal.
Dictated his move forward. He doesn't like to advance that far. Beckham was dealing with the movement before his challenge. Beckham was really saying that was my first foul. Why have I been shown the yellow card? There is a disciplinary procedure in this tournament, like the World Cup finals and the finals of the European Championship. So should Beckham get booked in the second game, he would miss the third. Again tonight. Oddly enough, England have only ever had 4 players sent off in the entire international history of the nation, and the quirk of it all is they've all been sent off in the month of June, when not that much football is played. The last of them in our studio tonight is certainly Mr. Wilkins.
I thought you meant Richard Keys then.
Ferrara. England didn't defend that particularly well.
Well, they didn't. They had enough players there, but Ferrara was totally unmarked. He should have done better. Free header, gets up well.
I think there are certain aspects about Stuart Pearce's play as a central defender which can't necessarily come naturally after all those years as a left-back in a back four.
I think he realised he got himself into the wrong position, but he just did enough, didn't he, to get Ferrara off balance.
That's misjudged by Cannavaro. Ince and Scholes. Nice interplay from England. Ince chasing on himself, but Peruzzi will come and claim.
Just looking at Cesare Maldini down there. Can't sit still. Very, very agitated. Not happy with his team's performance. Trying to inject some urgency into them, but he's not getting any response.
Pearce. Well, this is very pleasant viewing for English eyes. England calling the tune against Italy. 10 minutes to go to half-time. As I said, Italy not too thrilled with taking part in the tournament. England coming here in a completely different psychological state. On the back of Saturday's success, and next Saturday, England take on France in Montpellier. It's an interesting experiment from Glenn Hoddle. The players are staying here in the Nantes area and flying to Montpellier on the morning of the match. Fuzet waving a corner and getting one.
Yes, they don't invite him to shoot from outside the box. He does have some power in his shooting. I don't think that one would have troubled Tim Flowers, but good block from Pearce.
Flowers trying to get free, all sorts of pushing going on in there, and the referee saw it. Costa Corta and Casiraghi. What do you make of this England goalkeeping situation, Trevor? We know David Seaman is the number one, but there's a rare old competition going on for the right to be his expected backup.
Yes, I think at the moment, the man who's in possession of the jersey, Tim Flowers, I think is the number two, but I think by the end of this forthcoming season, or the new season I should say, it will then be decided. Obviously it's between the ones who are currently with him at this moment, but only time will tell throughout the season. A lot can happen over the course of 9 months of the season.
Well, Ian Walker played against Italy at Wembley, called in late on, of course. David James had a cap against Mexico. Nigel Martin has played, as well as Seaman himself. And we shouldn't forget how hard it was for Glenn Hoddle to get the team right for that game in February. Seaman and Adams dropped out at the last minute. Alan Shearer went into hospital for surgery, having played in the game, and clearly wasn't fully fit at the time, although they were prepared to take the risk. So circumstances were unfortunate, to say the least.
Yeah, I think Walker and James would expect to have done better when they actually played for England. Sometimes, you know, you become a better goalkeeper when you don't play.
Maybe Tim Flowers has found that, but he's out there in the firing line now. Flowers wasn't picked in any of Glenn Hoddle's first three England squads, having been, of course, around with Terry Venables. Cannavaro, and quickly on the scene again with Beckham. Ferrara. Again, Italy don't get very far, and again Stuart Pearce saw to that. Beckham. Phil Neville starting from deeper on the right-hand side, so Beckham looking the other way towards right. And Scholes was also charging through the centre. straightforward, and they haven't quite got a player, given Zola's many qualities. He hasn't got the change of pace that Ian Wright showed to sprint away to score the only goal so far this evening. Albertini. Better movement from Italy here, and Fusere was the runner that Zola was trying to find, but they've left a space that England could use. Lasso. Still Graham Lasso, of course. His life taken a different twist. Might have been playing in France. He'd been playing for France. Another England corner. Just over 5 minutes to go to half-time. No doubting that Cesare Maldini's men are the lesser of the two sides to this point.
Phil Neville on this right-hand side can be pleased with his first half performance. He's always made himself available. It's a good outlet on this right-hand side for England.
Beckham's corner. Ince with a challenge. Ian Wright was claiming a corner and then realised that the ball was going to stay in play. And now he was challenged brusquely by Cannavaro. To ruffle Wright's hair in apology, but there isn't much to ruffle, is there?
Sliding tackle that Cannavaro followed through with.
Wright's just gone off the pitch for some running repairs. Phil Neville, Beckham. Well, in the absence of Wright, Lasso had stayed in a central position. Ball beat both him and Sheringham. Moving well back on. It's lovely control by Sheringham, and Wright coming in. Cannavaro just got there first. Here's Benarivo. Under Maldini, Italy beat Northern Ireland in a friendly in January, then of course won at Wembley. Since then, they've beaten Moldova at home, drawn in Poland 0-0 and beaten Poland 3-0 in Naples. They're 1-0 down to England in Le Tournoi. Half-time approaching, the rain falling. It's been a very strange day weather-wise, a lot of cloud this morning. Over the climate, Ian Wright's flourishing and scores! Join in the applause. It's Paul Scholes who buried his first England goal, and these two certainly on the same wavelength. Wright cut it back, Scholes connected. It was a blur past Peruzzi, and it's Italy 0, England 2.
Well, you talk about natural goal scoring, you've certainly seen it there from Scholes. Good little ball in from Wright. Once again, a wonderful finish. First time with his left foot. Peruzzi, he doesn't move. It really is a tremendous strike. He does well to get connection, does well to keep it down. It nestles in the back of the net. Two great goals from two natural goal scorers. What a first half this has been for England.
Well, Glenn Hoddle was saying that before he went to Poland, he would have taken the 3 points in Katowice, even if it meant losing all 3 games in the Tournoi. But of course, Scholes gets booked. Beckham in the referee's role of dishonour.
Yeah, Scholes is annoyed there with Albertini because he told the referee, or asked the referee to get the yellow card out. The referee obliged.
Hoddle won't want this first half to be spoiled here. It's in Roberto Carlos territory. Albertini doesn't go for goal. Revo. This is Ferrara. Pierce. Just a thought about that free kick yesterday, Trevor. Did you see how Roberto Carlos looked for the valve on the ball? Because Branco used to use the same trick. You hit the ball at its hardest point at the valve, then the aerodynamics take over, and that wasn't totally responsible for the spectacular strike, but the placing was very, very deliberate. And I understand the England players have been having a go in their session this morning to see what they can come up with. The other thing that struck them as well was how Roberto Carlos lifted himself totally off the air to put absolutely everything into the shot. Totally off the ground into the air. Pollard's in particular will be enjoying this. His life in Italy, whether that will remain so, we wait to hear from him. And captaining England in a situation here that's, I'm sure, very enjoyable to the vast majority of you watching at home.
He's got to be careful, David Beckham. It's already been booked. 2-0 ahead, seconds before half-time. He's just got to steady himself down.
Well, this is all part of the learning, of course. Beckham has conceded a free kick. This is Dino Baggio. It's a good strike. It took Flowers by surprise. Zola is there, and Flowers isn't called upon again. Tim Flowers saw that very late. And it rather hit him, but he was strong enough to stop the ball going past him.
I think it takes a slight deflection from Teddy Sheringham. That's an excellent save from Flowers. Let's have a look at it. Baggio certainly hits it well. There it is, slight deflection of Sheringham. Good save. Fortunately for England, doesn't fall to an Italian forward.
Yes, to Tim Flowers' credit, he certainly made a move to the ball and stopped Italy wiping some of the smiles off the English faces, which were pretty wide at half-time because of 2 England goals in the first 45 minutes here in Nantes. Scholes for Wright with the first in the 26th minute.